there is a quiet moment that arrives just before intention turns into motion. It sits between the thought you barely notice and the action you later claim was obvious. Manifestation lives in that space, not as superstition, not as a shortcut, around effort, but as a subtle architecture of awareness shaping what becomes possible. Long before the word manifestation entered modern vocabulary, humans sensed that reality was not entirely fixed. Hunters trusted signs in the wind. Sailors read the stars as if they were instructions. Monks watched their thoughts the way astronomers watch the sky, knowing that patterns repeat even when they appear chaotic. Asterisk manifestation techniques emerge from this ancient intuition that inner states and outer events are not separate territories. They are two ends of the same current. What we hold in sustained attention begins to bend probability, not by magic, but by alignment. Attention sharpens perception. Perception guides behavior. Behavior, repeated, alters outcomes. The mystery lies not in whether this works, but in how quietly it operates, like gravity shaping rivers without announcing itself. Asterisk in the modern world, manifestation is often reduced to slogans or wishful thinking. That reduction misses the deeper mechanism. Manifestation is not asking the universe to deliver what you desire while you remain unchanged. It is the process by which desire reorganizes identity. When intention is clear and emotionally charged, the mind starts filtering reality differently. Opportunities that once blended into noise become visible. Risks that once felt impossible feel survivable. You move differently. You speak differently. People respond to you differently. From the outside, it looks like luck. From the inside, it feels inevitable. Asterisk, there is also a cosmic dimension that resists being pinned down by psychology alone. Many traditions describe reality as responsive, almost conversational. Thoughts are said to ripple outward, not as commands, but as frequencies. When those frequencies remain coherent over time, they resonate with matching conditions. Whether one frames this as metaphysics or as an advanced understanding of cognition hardly matters. The lived experience is the same. Consistent inner narratives sculpt the world you walk through. Asterisk manifestation techniques, at their core, are tools for coherence. They help resolve the friction between what you say you want and what you unconsciously expect. Most people live divided. They affirm abundance while rehearsing scarcity. They visualize success while emotionally preparing for disappointment. The techniques exist to close that gap. They train the nervous system to tolerate the reality it claims to desire. Without that training, the mind sabotages its own intentions, not out of malice, but out of familiarity. Asterisk, think of manifestation as tuning an instrument. The universe does not reward noise. It responds to clarity. When thoughts, emotions, and actions vibrate in the same direction, resistance weakens. This is why discipline matters as much as belief. Rituals matter not because they please some external force, but because they stabilize attention. Repetition ingrains expectation. Expectation becomes posture. Posture becomes destiny, slowly, then suddenly. Asterisk, there is wonder here, but also responsibility. Manifestation exposes the fact that many outcomes we call fate are rehearsed internally long before they appear externally. This realization can be unsettling. It removes the comfort of blaming randomness. It suggests that the unseen habits of thought carry more weight than circumstances. Yet within that discomfort lies freedom. If patterns can be learned, they can be unlearned. If attention can shape reality unconsciously, it can also be wielded deliberately. Asterisk, this exploration does not promise instant miracles. It offers something more demanding and more honest. A way of understanding manifestation as a disciplined relationship with reality itself. a practice of aligning inner architecture with outer direction. As we move forward, the focus will shift from surface techniques to the deeper principles beneath them, the symbolic language through which the mind and the world speak to each other. Asterisk. At the center of manifestation lies a simple but demanding truth. Reality responds less to what you want and more to what you consistently assume. Assumption is quieter than desire. It hides beneath affirmations, beneath hope, beneath effort. It shows itself in the images that arise uninvited when you imagine the future, and in the emotional tone that accompanies those images. Manifestation techniques exist to bring these assumptions into the light, where they can be reshaped instead of unconsciously enforced. Asterisk. One core theme is coherence. When thought, emotion, and action point in different directions, energy dissipates. The mind sends mixed signals, and reality mirrors the confusion back. Coherence is not positive thinking. It is alignment. A person aligned with abundance does not merely say abundant words. Their body relaxes around money. Their decisions stop oscillating between risk and retreat. Their attention stops hunting for proof of lack. This inner consistency creates a stable signal, one the world can respond to without distortion. Asterisk. Another theme is identity. Manifestation does not pull outcomes toward you. It pulls you toward versions of yourself capable of sustaining those outcomes. This is why sudden success often collapses for those who have not shifted internally. The techniques are less about visualizing objects and more about rehearsing states of being. When identity changes, behavior follows without force. What once required motivation becomes natural. The world then reflects this new normal back to you. Asterisk. There is also the recurring illusion of control. Many approach manifestation as a way to dominate circumstances. In practice, it works best as a dialogue. Intention sets direction, but listening refines the path. Resistance, delays, and detours are not failures. They are feedback. They reveal mismatches between conscious desire and unconscious readiness. Techniques that ignore this dialogue become brittle. Those that honor it remain adaptive and alive. Asterisk. Time plays a subtler role than most expect. Manifestation operates on psychological time, not clock time. When an outcome feels distant, it is usually because the internal state associated with it feels unfamiliar or unsafe. As familiarity grows through repetition and emotional rehearsal, the future collapses inward. What felt far begins to feel next. This is often mistaken for acceleration, when it is actually synchronization. Asterisk. Beneath all these themes runs a deeper current. Attention is creative. What you repeatedly attend to gains structure. What you neglect dissolves. Manifestation techniques train attention to linger deliberately, to stop leaking into fear-based projections, and to rest instead on chosen possibilities until they harden into form. Asterisk. Imagine a vast desert where travelers walk beneath an unbroken sky. Each carries an invisible compass, though few ever look at it. Some complain they keep circling the same dunes, convinced the land is cursed. Others move steadily toward water they have never seen. The desert is the same for all of them. What differs is the orientation of the compass they carry within. Manifestation techniques are not the oasis. They are the act of finally checking the compass. Asterisk. There is an old symbolic story of a sculptor who believed stone resisted him. Every block cracked, every form collapsed. Frustrated, he accused the marble of stubbornness. One night, exhausted, he rested his hands on the stone and felt its weight, its temperature, its quiet patience. He stopped fighting it and began listening to its structure. The next morning, the sculpture emerged with ease. The stone had never resisted. It had only reflected his tension. Manifestation works the same way. Reality mirrors the internal pressure we bring to it. Force creates fracture. Alignment reveals form. Another narrative appears in myths of mirrors and reflections. A wanderer enters a hall of mirrors and becomes terrified, surrounded by hostile figures. He runs, and they run. He raises his fists, and they threaten back. Only when he stands still does he notice the truth. Every enemy is his own posture multiplied. In manifestation, external obstacles often behave like these mirrors. They exaggerate inner expectations, techniques that change posture rather than circumstance, dissolve entire armies without a single battle. There is also the symbol of the seed buried in darkness. It does not argue with the soil or demand immediate sunlight. It commits fully to its direction. Roots grow first, unseen, anchoring the future. Many abandon manifestation at this stage, mistaking silence for failure. Symbolically, this is the moment of greatest importance. Inner structures are forming that will later support visible growth. To dig up the seed for reassurance is to interrupt the process. These stories persist across cultures because they describe an internal law. What you move toward internally begins moving toward you externally once the relationship stabilizes. Manifestation techniques are rituals of stabilization. They teach patience without passivity and intention without strain. They remind the mind that the world is not hostile matter to be conquered, but responsive terrain to be understood. The moment manifestation leaves the realm of thought and enters daily life is where it proves its value. This is where the poetic ideas either ground themselves or dissolve into fantasy. Practical integration does not require grand rituals or dramatic gestures. It asks for consistency in small, often unglamorous moments. How you speak to yourself when plans fail. How you interpret delays. How you choose action when certainty is unavailable. These are the pressure points where inner orientation meets the physical world. In everyday terms, manifestation shows up as disciplined attention. When you repeatedly return your focus to a chosen direction, your behavior reorganizes around it. You start noticing patterns that previously slipped past you. Conversations take a different tone. Decisions that once felt heavy become obvious. This is not blind optimism. It is selective realism. You stop feeding narratives that weaken your trajectory and begin reinforcing those that support it. The world responds because you are no longer contradicting yourself. Emotion plays a practical role here. Feelings are not decoration. They are signals. Techniques that ignore emotional honesty collapse under stress. Integration means allowing emotion to surface without letting it steer. You acknowledge fear without obeying it. You register doubt without rehearsing it. Over time, the nervous system learns that desired outcomes are not threats. This is when momentum builds. What once required constant effort begins to sustain itself. In professional life, manifestation translates into presence and credibility. People respond to those who move with internal agreement. When your words, timing, and confidence align, others sense it before they analyze it. Opportunities arise not because you demanded them, but because you became a logical fit for them. In relationships, the same principle applies. Expectations shape dynamics. When you stop anticipating abandonment or conflict, interactions soften. Boundaries clarify. Mutual respect becomes easier to maintain. The real-world implication often overlooked is responsibility. Once you see how attention shapes outcomes, excuses lose their power. This can feel heavy at first, but responsibility is also leverage. It means you are not trapped by circumstance alone. You have influence at the level where change actually begins. Manifestation becomes less about acquiring and more about inhabiting. You step into a way of being that naturally attracts matching conditions. This integration is quiet. It does not announce itself. It accumulates. One aligned decision at a time, reality begins to feel less reactive and more responsive, as if it has been waiting for you to speak clearly all along. Asterisk. As we reach the horizon of this exploration, it becomes clear that manifestation is not a trick, a promise, or a mere technique. It is a form of attunement, a lifelong conversation between the inner and outer worlds. Every thought, every emotional pulse, every small gesture carries a weight that, over time, sculpts the terrain you inhabit. The process asks for patience and rigor, yet it also offers freedom. The freedom is in realizing that the unseen architecture of your mind has always been active, and that you may, with intention and awareness, guide its influence toward coherence rather than conflict. Transformation begins where intention intersects with consistent alignment. The inner state that sustains your deepest desires must be rehearsed, felt, and embodied. To manifest is to become a vessel in which possibility can settle, to hold a frequency long enough that reality cannot help but echo it back. This is why techniques, rituals, and repeated attention are not ornamental. They are the scaffolding of consciousness. The way abstract desire is given form without collapsing under distraction or doubt. Symbol and metaphor illuminate the path, reminding us that the outer world is a reflection of inner harmony. The sculptor, the seed, the mirror, they teach that effort without presence is empty, and presence without effort is inert. Manifestation is the subtle alchemy of the mind and soul, converting intention into tangible effect without force or coercion. The task is not to push reality to our will, but to tune ourselves until the universe moves as a natural extension of our aligned state. Every application in daily life, career decisions, relationships, creative work is a test and a rehearsal. The world responds not to wishes but to coherence, to posture, to the steadiness of aligned energy. The deeper responsibility emerges. Not every outcome can be claimed, yet every state of being can be cultivated. Mastery is not measured by immediate acquisition, but by the integrity of internal alignment. The ability to maintain clarity when the environment resists or challenges. In the quiet moments, when the mind stops oscillating between fear and desire. When the body relaxes into expectation without grasping, manifestation becomes effortless. It is then that life begins to mirror the coherence you have practiced. You see that what once felt distant now approaches with inevitability, not because of force, but because the internal architecture has been reshaped to meet it. This is the transformational call, to inhabit a state so consistent and receptive that the currents of possibility naturally flow toward you, reflecting not mere chance, but the deliberate shaping of consciousness itself. Manifestation is ultimately a dialogue, a dance between being and becoming. By attending carefully to thought, emotion, and action, by cultivating alignment in every layer of self, you participate consciously in the ongoing creation of your reality. The practice asks for patience, courage, and discipline. It promises not shortcuts, but an intimate mastery of how attention, intention, and identity coalesce to shape what unfolds. It asks that you step fully into your own role as architect of your experience, and in doing so, discover that the cosmos is not an external force to be negotiated, but a responsive companion, reflecting back the clarity and coherence you have cultivated within. This concludes the comprehensive exploration of manifestation techniques. The narrative threads of attention, alignment, identity, and coherent action have woven together into a single vision, that what we cultivate inside inevitably sculpts the world outside. Your role is not passive. It is the conscious shaping of a life in which possibility is not just imagined, but lived. Asterisk, the final word is practice. Begin within. Observe attentively. Align persistently. And let the currents you cultivate carry you into the reality you have prepared to receive. Asterisk.